It happens like clockwork. Every wipe, about 2 weeks in, maybe 3, the questions start. They flood my YouTube videos, Twitch streams, even DMs on Discord. Is Bitcoin farm worth building? I put this off for a bit usually each wipe because there's other stuff to do.
And the 2021 Game of the Year is...
Escape from Tarkov.
And most players are nowhere near the ability to build Bitcoin Farm 1, let alone 2, 3, or solar power. But eventually, I give in to the masses, I brush off my spreadsheet, crunch the numbers, and let everybody know the answer.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Now, part of this whole process of figuring out if the Bitcoin's worth it requires me to look at solar power. This is especially so since BSG cranked up the prices of solar power in 12.9. For a while now, solar's been so expensive, it doesn't even pay for itself. This means for like the last 3 or 4 wipes, that if you built solar power, it was simply for convenience or so you could get to Bitcoin 3, which is why I include solar power in my Bitcoin 3 build calculations on how long it takes to pay for itself. And this wipe, being no different than the last couple, I assume the answer was the same. So people would come in and I'd say, nope, solar power is not worth it unless you want it for convenience or the Bitcoin 3. Well, I apologize to everyone I said that to, because I was wrong. Just goes to show you, especially in the Tarkov economy, what was once true isn't always true. So what has changed? On the face, it's the same as it was last wipe. It takes 75,000 euros, 10 military cables and power filters, 4 phased arrays and 3 LCDs. And last wipe, the total cost of these items was almost 16 million rubles. Now this was a product of euros being nearly 130 rubles a piece, and the rare items having some of the lowest spawn rates I can ever remember since I've started playing Tarkov. However, this wipe, the cost is only 8.8 million rubles. This is in large part because the value of the euro has fallen to about 110 rubles per, since it's tied to IRL currencies. On top of that, it looks like BSG has dramatically increased the spawn rates of the rare items. Things like the power filters are 1/10, if not less, of what they were last wipe, and the aces are still really cheap too. These seemingly small changes have pretty much upended everything in regards to solar power. For some, this is going to be the first wipe where solar power is worth building just for the fuel savings alone, ignoring the side benefits of convenience or building Bitcoin 3. So let's get into the numbers so we can give the well actually guys something to pick at. As I said, solar should cost you about 8.8 million rubles. Most of the components are pretty cut and dry. You either buy them off the flea or you find them in raid. Right now, phased arrays are worth about 120, LCDs are 50K, military cables about 44K, and power filters are right at 46K. Euros, however, have a little more nuance to them. If you buy from Skier, you're going to pay a premium. As of this video, the cost of euros are about 110 from Skier. This means that if you buy from him all of your euros, it's going to cost you about 8.3 million rubles. But if you sell stuff on the flea market for euros instead of rubles, you save nearly 1 million rubles because the exchange rate is only about 97 per in the way the flea market orders stuff. This whole process is a little complicated, and I do a whole nother video explaining it. If you don't understand or you want to argue with it, go check that video out. But simply put, you should not be buying your euros from Skier. The next major piece of this puzzle is fuel. Now, for simplicity's sake, I'm going to use the metal fuel cans for these calcs, since for most of an entire wipe cycle, they're the most economical choice for players. These cost 167,000 from Jaeger, and while early wipe, kind of like right now, fuel is cheaper, it doesn't stay that way for very long. It always ends up around this 160, 170 or higher mark, regardless if you buy it off the flea, you barter from it from Proper, or like I said, you get it for 167,000 from Jaeger. Now, these metal fuel cans have 100 units of fuel, and without any reductions from hideout management, they get you 21.05 hours of burn time. This comes out to a cost of 7,925 rubles per hour. That's what it costs you to run your generator. Once you install solar, this runtime jumps to 42.1 hours. This means, not shockingly, your cost is halved to 3,963 rubles per hour, which is also how many rubles per hour your solar power is saving you. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road per se. If solar is saving you 3,963 rubles per hour and it costs 8.8 million rubles, then figuring out how long it takes for the savings to pay for it is simply a matter of dividing one by the other. That equation gives you 2,222 hours, which is 93 days or 13 weeks. That's it, right there. That's how long it takes for solar to pay for itself simply in its fuel savings. Now, of course, this is if you burn fuel for 24 hours a day. But if you're going as far to install solar, I'm going to assume you at least have a water collector and probably Bitcoin Farm, if not Bitcoin Farm 2 built. And all of those are going to more than cover your cost of fuel. On top of that, you're probably crafting a few items in your hideout, which is also going to take away from those others even and paying for your fuel costs. So taking all of this info in and assuming we have a 6-month wipe cycle, which we have no reason not to believe right now, as long as you build it before, let's say mid-September, it's going to pay for itself before the end of the wipe, on top of giving you those bonuses of convenience. On top of all of this as well, once you have solar power installed and we get one of these events BSG likes to throw at us, like the fuel shortage or the traders being closed, it has much less of an effect on you. For both of those events, when they had a fuel shortage and fuel went to absurd prices and the Lightkeeper ran all the traders off and you couldn't buy fuel from anybody, I didn't have to worry about it. I didn't worry about fuel at all because I was able to ride it out. Because when my generator's full, I have like almost 3 weeks of runtime, but I don't even have to touch it. Now, this was with max hideout management and later in the wipe and everything else, but it still applies. So you do what you will. I'm building it as soon as I can. I'm grinding out euros right now to get that 75,000. As soon as I have it, solar is going to get started. And I'm not just doing this to build solar. I'm also building Bitcoin 3. And I'll have a video up for that shortly as well, so you can see if the math makes sense for you to build that or not. Check up here to see how the economics of the Bitcoin farm works and what level makes sense for you, if any of them.